Hey guys, in this video we will work on a way to make impact points where our bullets are hitting the surfaces. So basically we will instantiate a texture at the point where the bullets hit. And also right now the bullets of our enemy player and also our own rifles will pass through some colliders and stay alive for a while. To demonstrate that, I can create a cube here, and let's quickly scale this up a little bit. Okay, like this. So if I run into the view of the enemy, oops, I don't want to die immediately, so let's increase the health. Something bigger. Now I'm behind the you can see I'm behind the cube, but still the tracers are passing through it. So we want to find out where the bullet is hitting anything it collides with, and then we want to instantiate the texture for it. Okay, so let's first fix the part where it flies through the objects. Let's open up the projectile class. There we go. So right now we are simply destroying the game object in a time to live, and we are only checking if it's destructible when it's hit something, but we are not actually stopping it from moving. So what we're going to do, we're going to say when we are checking for destructible, we are also checking if we what we are hitting, and we're going to set an end destination to the point where we are hitting the other transform, and then we will stop moving once the transform has reached that position, and then instantiate the bullet hole. Okay, so let's see where we're going to start. First we're going to start with a vector 3 for the destination, which is not the destination of the bullet, but a destination of what we have hit. So in the destructible, we can better change this to the raycast hit. So we provide the raycast hit. Let's call this hit info. And instead of passing the transform, we are passing in the entire hit. And then here we're going to change this to hit info transform. So that is the same again. Now when we are after getting the component, but before we are checking if the destructible is null, we're gonna set the destination to the hit info point. So this is the point where where it says impact point in world space where the ray hit the collider. So this is exactly the point where the ray is hitting, the line is hitting. So we're going to set that as our destination, and we're now going to check here in the update if we are reaching our destination. So let's make a method here to check if we have reached our destination already. So we're going to return a bool. Let's call this is destination reached. And then we're first going to check if the destination equals vector3 0. Then we haven't assigned it, so we're going to say return false destination. Then we're going to return false, and otherwise we're going to first get the direction to the destination. Direction to destination. This equals to our destinations minus the transform's position. So this gets the direction, and now we need to find out if it's still in front of the bullet. So what we're going to use that is a dot product. So we can say dot equals to the vector3 dot, which takes in two vectors, and the first will be our direction, and the other one will be our transform forward, so the forward of the bullet. This will give us a dot product, and when we are smaller than 1, we have passed, smaller than 0, we have passed the destination. So if the result of the dot is less than 0, we're going to say return true, otherwise we're going to say return false. So if the dot product is more than 1, we are still going towards it. If it's less than 1, we have passed it. Okay, so now we can say in our update method here, let's check if the destination is reached. If is destination reached, we can destroy the game object and return out. Yeah. Also, when we are setting the destination here, we do not need to check for any other hits anymore. So after the translate, after we have moved, we're gonna check here if destination not equals factor 30. So if we have assigned a vector to the destination, we're gonna skip it out here, so we won't be running any raycast hits anymore. Okay, so now let's see what happens if we run this. I'm gonna move to the side. There we go. Now you can see it's pretty much stopping here. Yeah, I don't think anything is coming through. We can check this with our own weapon too. Oh yeah, you can still see. Let me restart it here. You can still see sometimes we are shooting through the. There you go. You can see it sometimes still shooting through the to the cube. So we still need to check out if we are missing something here. But we're gonna check that later. So now we have, when we have our destination reached, we're gonna destroy the game object, and otherwise we're gonna we're gonna translate the transform. And when the destination is not assigned to vector 0, we're also gonna skip out, so we won't do any raycasting anymore. Now, let's see where we are exactly hitting our where our ray is hitting. So let's create let's instantiate a game object, and then create a primitive type of cube. So we're just gonna instantiate a cube here at the hit info point, and the quaternion will be identity, so we don't need any rotation. Okay, so let's see what happens if we now if we go. You can see a cube is being instantiated at the point where we are hitting. Yeah. So it's not instantiating any hit points beyond the wall. Only the light continues. That doesn't really matter for now. Okay, so now what we're going to do at this point where we are instantiating the cube, we're going to instantiate a bullet hole. So what we're going to do, let's fire up your I'm going to use Photoshop here, whatever program you want to use for making textures. Let's make it 128 by 128, should be enough. So a width of 128 and a height of 128. And we're just going to do it fairly simple. I'm going to make a layer out of the background and get rid of the background. So we have a transparent layer. Zooming in a little bit and just select the brush, maybe a little less. And I'm gonna click a few times. You can see it already giving a pretty good effect here. The only thing we have here is simply a brush with a size and nothing else, nothing fancy at all. But to make it a little bit more better, let's double click the layer, and let's add a shade around it, so you can get a nice shade here. You can test around with any of the shade qualities or whatever whatever you like. I think this is a nice one, and you can adjust the scale as well. Maybe a different one until you have something you like. Okay, I'm gonna keep mine like this. You can then also, if you select your layer and you hit let me see, I believe you have to hit A, so you select everything, so you have a boundary selected all around your layer. Then make sure you have the select tool, and then you can properly align it with these two buttons here to put it exactly in the center of the image. Okay, now let's save this one. Let's call this bullet hole, whatever. There we go, bullet hole. I'm gonna replace the one I had here, doesn't really matter. Okay, now let's add it to our texture folder. So open up your bullet hole and then drag it into your texture folder. Okay, now let's create a quad and put it at 0. And again, this quad is only rendering on one side, so it's very cheap to use, only 2 triangles. Drop in the bullet hole texture on it, and now make sure you are, let me see, if you go to the quad and you go to the shader, we're gonna change this to fade or transparent. Let's set it to fade. Then you can see the cube, I'm sorry, the picture here. Let's scale it down because it's very big. Let's move it to the wall here so we can better see what we are doing. Something like this. Now I need to rotate it around to 180. Come on. There we go. Can put it right in front of it. Down to make to get a reference to the player. You can still see it's pretty big, so we're gonna reduce it even more. Maybe even more. Okay, this seems to be okay. I'm sure a lot of people can do this better, but this is a very quick way to make a bullet hole. Nothing too fancy though. Okay, let's rename this quad to bullet hole, and let's drag this into our maybe reset it just to make it a little bit nicer, and then drag it into your prefabs folder. So now we have the bullet hole prefab. Let's go back to our script, and instead of instantiating a cube, we're going to instantiate the I'm sorry, we're going to instantiate that the bullet hole we just created. So by making a transform a bullet hole. There we go. So now with this assigned, I'm sorry, not assigned yet. Let's first get rid of the one in the scene. Go to our assault rifle bullet, And now you can see we have the bullet hole here, and let's drag in the transform we just created. And now we're gonna say here, instantiate the bullet hole. Now, if we don't change the point or the rotation, it's probably not going to show up where we want it to show up. Let's move forward. And see, it's not really showing anything. I'm not sure where. Oh, there it goes. It's like inside of the wall and facing the other way around. So that doesn't work. So what we need to do, we need to find out or not really find out, but we're gonna rotate according to the normal of the hit. And the normal is like the straight up, or will give you a straight up on the point where it hits. So we're gonna use instantiate the bullet hole. We're gonna set the point here, but we're gonna change the rotation by making a look at. We're gonna look the rotation of the hit info normal. So this will make it look at the direction of the normal of where we are hitting, but we're gonna multiply this by quaternion Euler and then 180 degrees. So we're going to rotate it 180 degrees, otherwise we won't see the texture. Okay, let's give it another try. So I'm moving forward and then make it shoot. There we go. It's still way too big. I think it didn't size it, but you can see what happens. If I move this here, you can see one more thing here. It's hitting the box colliders of these cubes. So we're going to fix it, and you can see it flickering. That's because it's exactly on the edge of the cube, so it's fighting with this order. So what we're going to do, we're going to adjust the position of this texture slightly in front. Yeah. So let's first check why the bullet hole is so damn big. I really thought I adjusted this. Oh yes, stupid me, I resetted it, of course. Okay, so let's do it again. And let's scale it down. If you were smart, you haven't done this. And you would have seen me making this mistake. Okay, something like this. So 0.6, 0.06 even, is what we're gonna say here. There we go. And hit apply. Get rid of it. Okay, so what we're gonna do to stop fighting the set index here, we're gonna adjust the shift it a little bit forward. So we're gonna add the hit info normal by maybe a 0.015, so a very small amount. Oh wait, we should then change the instantiation here to the destination to destination. Yeah. So we're gonna immediately instantiate the bullet at the point. Okay, let's see what happens now. Okay, that looks much better. Size is maybe a little bit too big as well, but okay. And the problem here, if we shoot very close, the bullet will only start like 5 meters in front of us. Now, with the normal set, you can also see if we are shooting a top part, it also automatically gets to normal here, so it will be right on the surface. Yeah. Okay. Now, if we are shooting the this target here, you can see it still keeps floating in the sky. So what we're gonna do when we are shooting, and instantiating it. We're going to parent it to the object we are hitting, so it will rotate or fall with our object we are hitting. Okay, so let's go back to our script here, and let's see, in the where we're instantiating it. So we want to get the transform bullet hole. Maybe just call this hole. We need to cast this to a transform, otherwise it won't be assigning here. It won't work. Now let's set the parent. So we can say hole set parent, and we're going to set the parent to the hit info transforms. So now if we shoot the target, it will go down. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see it rotates with it. It's maybe a little bit too high. You can see it floating up here, so we need to add less here. Maybe even another 0. Where is it? There it is. Not really sure if this is better, but I think this will work. Yeah. Okay, so now you don't see any Z fighting here anymore. I think this is it. I don't think we need to do anything else. One more thing you might notice is when you are shooting the enemy, it will oops. I probably shot the rigid body here. You can still see him rotating, by the way. It's still following our rotation, but our bullet holes here are also still floating. We're gonna fix that in a later video. One thing to let you know is what you probably need to do, which I already did. In any collider we are having right now should not be colliding with the weapon projectile if we don't want it to collide. For instance, if we have our scanner for enemy player, you can see it. This is our cube. If we are outside of this cube, I made it pretty big. If we are outside of the cube and we're shooting, it will detect the collision here. So what you want to do, you want to set the layer to ignore raycast for everything you don't want to hit. So the scanner will get the ignore raycast, and also the assault rifle bullet set it also to ignore raycast. So we are not hitting any other bullets, so it won't instantiate a bullet hole when it collides with a different bullet. Yeah. That's it for now, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.